The 2-1. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam! And Lindor puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season for New York.
3-second differential. Shot clock, game clock. Shot clock down to 5. Here's Towns from 3. It's gone! Carl Anthony Towns with the dagger. 3-point field goal.
Knicks regain their composure. Towns, deep 3-ball with the switch.
Happy Saturday! Hey. What's going on, my peoples? What's going on? Welcome to another live Up Top Bunk Sports. I am your guy, David. What's going on, everybody? And I just wanted to have a brief conversation with everybody about this whole Pete Alonso thing, and it's been pretty frustrating. Just based on everything that's been going on with him and all the reports coming out, especially going back to what the Mets offered him last year, right? Just him getting that 7-year, 150+ mil contract, and he declined it. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think he declined it after signing with Boris. And then reports coming out that they gave him 90 mil, like they offered him a contract near 90 million, and he didn't take it. And I want to get everybody's perspective on, what the whole thing, how they feel about Pete Alonso. So shout out to, everybody that's tuning in. I see 11 in here. I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody that wants to join and kind of give their opinion when it comes to this whole situation. It'll be kind of interesting just to see how things play out, because I think right now with the Corbin Burns signing, if everybody doesn't know, Corbin Burns signed a 6-year, $210 million contract with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then Teoscar's news came out where he signed with the Dodgers for 3 years, $66 million to go back with LA. And everybody's been kind of wondering, like, what's been going on with Stearns. What's the situation, why there hasn't been any big moves since the Soto signing. And yeah, there's a lot of questions there. And with the report that came out from Tim Haley about the Mets offered him a 2-year contract, I think I wouldn't say I'm upset, but I think it's one of those situations where it's like I'm actually happy that they did that. That kind of shows me that they were involved and they were trying to add, which I think they can still go do. They can still go get a Santander. They can still go get an Alex Bregman and kind of fill that whole thing, that whole lineup up. And I in my opinion, I just think that not everybody has to panic. Not everybody has to go ahead, and not everybody has to flip out. There's still time to process everything. However, the Dodgers are stacked. The Dodgers keep being stacked, and it's one of those things where now you're in a situation where you've always been in that mindset. Yo, we have to compete against the Dodgers. You have to go ahead. You gotta go compete against the Dodgers. You gotta be at their level. That Dodgers team I don't care about them. Like I want to beat them. I want to go ahead. I want to beat them. I want to take down the throne, and I want to win a chip. And I think they started off great with Juan Soto. The pitching rotation still has its questions. Obviously, I think they got saved a little bit by re-signing Sean Manaea. I think you have some interesting pieces with Clay Holmes and Frankie Montas in the bottom of your rotation. You still have questions on Kodai Senga. You still have questions on David Peterson. A lot of guys in their rotation is questions. Especially Sean Manaea to a certain extent, right? I know Sean Manaea, everybody talks about how Sean Manaea has proved it. Sean Manaea did what he did last year in the playoffs, but Sean Manaea still has to prove that he can do it again. Sean Manaea has to prove that within the first 2 years of that contract of being a New York Met, that he can go ahead and he could probably either duplicate or be a little bit, better than what he was last year, or kind of give the same amount of quality starts that he did last year. So there's still question marks within what this organization has in the pitching rotation and that lineup, right? Because you don't know what you don't know what happens with Brandon Nimmo. You don't know what happens with Starling Marte. You don't know what year you're gonna get out of Francisco Alvarez, which I'm predicting for him to have a big year. I think he takes that leap. I think he goes ahead and says, listen, I learned from my mistakes. Now I want to go ahead and I just want to, get everything out of my system. Now I'm here. Like now I know what I have to do to correct myself defensively. You know what I mean? Not chasing so much like he did last year. Like there are little bits and pieces that he can fix to go ahead and be like, yo, now I got it. I can take care of it. But that's near here or there. I want to talk about, like I said, the Pete Alonso situation. Now, there have been a lot of people that have spoken about how Pete Alonso could get an offer from San Francisco. There have been people that have said, I think Pete Alonso would do great in Milwaukee. I think Pete Alonso would be a great, pickup for the Cubs. The situation with Pete Alonso, and a lot of people talk about the fact that the brother has hit 40 plus home runs, how that should play a factor, how average doesn't seem to, it shouldn't matter. My situation with Pete Alonso stems from the fact that the brother isn't consistent, right? He chases a lot of pitches outside the strike zone. Pete Alonso tends to really put himself in a position where in big spots with runners in scoring position, he doesn't succeed. He does not succeed. So I understand that people love Alonso and people tend to kind of put the fan aspect in front of the business side of things. But people have to understand that when you're the Mets and you're looking at that, and then you're actually, listen, from the reports that came out last year, that they offered him that 7-year deal, right, to extend him before he automatically declined it, right, when he signed with Boris. To me, that's a slap in the face because this team chose to lock you down early. Like this team chose to really go ahead and say, yo, we want you. We want to give you a good deal, which it is a good deal. I don't think it's a bad deal at all. Right. And I know people are going to be like, well, Top, you got to understand that at that time, he was going to be a free agent. He just signed with Boris. He was trying to look at the most money he could. I get that. I absolutely get that. But at the same time, you don't know what's going to happen and free agency. You don't know what that market is going to be. Nobody knew, right? Nobody knew how that market was going to pan out. Look, a lot of people are shocked right now that market is what it is. I'm shocked. Like I'm like, yo, I can't believe that one of the top first basemen in the league right now is at where he's at. I mean, look what Carlos Santana got. Look what Paul Goldschmidt got. Look what all these guys got. And I know they're not at the level that Pete is at, but it just shows you that this guy is not going to get what he thinks he's going to get. I'm sorry. He's asking for 200 mil. He's not going to get that for the production that he's put the last 2 seasons. Jeff Passan, right? That article that Jeff Passan put out where teams were kind of stepping away or teams were hesitant on giving Pete Alonso a big deal. Because at the end of the day, there are still flaws in his game that GMs don't want to take a chance on. They don't want to take a chance on that. Why? Because that can hurt. That can hurt you. That can hurt your team. When your power bat is not, when your number 4 guy, right? Your power bat is not delivering in your lineup and he's consistently striking out, and especially in a bad way. Like there were times where last year you knew, this pitcher, all he got to do is just throw Pete like 4 straight sliders. You're done. You're like he was done. We knew. Shout out to my guys at Queens Baseball that we went to a game, right? A Mets game. against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, Timberwolves. I keep saying Timberwolves. The Minnesota Twins, and there was an at bat where Pete Alonso, I think it was his first, second at bat, where they were just throwing him like, I think the pitcher threw him like 5 straight sliders, and he was chasing him like he struck out. He struck out on if I'm yeah, he struck out on in that at bat on all sliders. So we all looked at each other and we just laughed because we have said consistently throughout the year that the book is open on the kid. The book is open on the guy. He doesn't know how to have to be strict on the plate. He doesn't know how to lay off sliders. Now there have been times where he takes his walks, he's calmed down a little bit, he stays firm, he stays within his approach, but a lot of the times we saw last year that wasn't the case. And if you're a GM and you're looking at it, you're like, yo, I don't, yes, he does provide a lot of home runs, but that's not always going to be the case. And we're going to pay this brother 200 million just because of his power numbers. No, if you want to give him a 150, 160, I say my range is up to 180. I'll probably give him a 6-year deal, probably. Yeah, a 5-year deal. I'll give him a 5-year deal because he's 30 right now. And for up until 35, I think that's perfect. Go 5-year deal, maybe 180, probably in the 160 range. Like it depends. It depends how you look at it. Depends how things play out. But there's so many factors within Pete Alonso's games that if you take away the home run factor, there's a lot of blue in that. There's a lot of blue in his games. His defense, I would say it's okay. I'm not gonna say it's the best. I would say it's okay. I think he's gotten a little bit better, but I don't. It's not a huge margin for me to be like, yeah, no, he's one of the best defensive third basemen in the league. In my opinion, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think that that Pete Alonso has taken a leap for me to be like, yeah, he's the best defensive first baseman in the league. It's not there. It's not there. So those things add up as well. But a lot of people are getting frustrated with this whole Pete Alonso thing because it's like, when is he gonna sign? When is he gonna sign? When is he gonna sign? And then, I go on X and I look at my timeline and there's people arguing with each other within the fan base, right? Because they're saying Pete Alonso does not deserve to come back here because he's acting like a little bitch, right? Because he declined 2 offers from the Mets. The Mets, it's not like the Mets haven't given him anything, right? It's been reported that the Mets have given him 2 offers. And you're going in there and you're saying, "Nah, I don't want it because I don't think I'm worth that." Now, granted, the respect to him for saying, "Yo, I don't think I'm worth that. I think I'm worth higher." But as a player, if you know that teams are, listen, Pete Alonso's a human being. Pete Alonso's on his phone, right? I'm sure Pete Alonso looks, and Pete Alonso's probably checking, like, yo, I want to see what they're saying about me. I want to see these articles. I'm sure he's seen the Jeff Passan article and was taken back by the fact that Jeff Passan said, yo, there's a certain amount of teams that are kind of stepping back, that are reluctant on giving Pete Alonso a big deal. I would too. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would too, just for that factor. I at one point was crazy enough to say, yo, I would give Pete Alonso a $200 million deal. I would. Now, does that mean that he won't get it? I think a team is crazy enough to give it to him. I honestly think so. I think he will get it in a span of, like, a San Francisco Giant team is just going to give it to him. I think maybe a Cubs team is going to give it to him. But I don't know. Maybe they're not budging. Maybe they're like, yo, we don't really necessarily need it. I thought maybe the Yankees would do it. And the only reason why I thought the Yankees would do it was because once I started seeing that they weren't really interested in bringing up Ben Rice right now, which is he's pretty good. Defensively, he can still get better, but he's pretty good. And then they went the Goldschmidt route, which was kind of weird to me. I didn't think they would. I thought that maybe they would probably go a little bit younger. Somebody that can definitely, again, I know it's not all about power, but somebody that can definitely go that route of, yo, I'm gonna give you my home run numbers. Like he's gonna smash in Yankee Stadium. That's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you're talking about a Yankee team who's shown that they could be aggressive and they can spend, right? But I thought they would maybe probably go just a little bit younger. Again, he's 30. So I thought Pete Alonso, Christian Walker was probably their range. I guess not. I guess Paul Goldschmidt was somebody that they looked into and they were like, yo, we like him. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have too bad of a second half of the season last year. He was pretty good. And now you're in a situation, if you're Pete Alonso, where it's like, now I'm gonna hold back and I'm gonna see what I could get. The problem with that is now teams are not falling for your shit. Teams are not desperate. Teams are not really gonna go ahead and budge, and that's what I think he's doing. That's what I think that's the situation right now. Oh, excuse me. Oh, 1 second, guys. My bad, guys. Something fell. But yeah, I don't think teams are gonna budge. I don't think there's gonna be a situation where teams are gonna go ahead and be like, yeah, we want to offer him that. But again, I think a San Francisco Giant team and I think maybe a Cubs team would be desperate. Another reason why I think maybe like a Cubs team would be desperate is because Cody Bellinger is not there no more. Like they traded Cody Bellinger. So now you go ahead and be like, listen, we have ourselves a chance where we could go ahead and try to make a splash at least within ourselves. You know what I'm saying? To go ahead and make a splash, go ahead and try to get the last free agent that we can. Maybe a Diamondbacks would have done it, but now that the Diamondbacks went and got themselves a Josh Naylor, that seems out the realm. The Diamondbacks would have been a pretty good situation because Pete Alonso hits well in that park. Pete Alonso is very he has good numbers in that park. So the Diamondbacks would have been a very good situation if the Mets decided to be like, yo, you know what? Let's not even entertain the Pete Alonso stakes at this point. Thank you for your time. And now the door is open for a team to be like, you know what? Let's just go and offer him that. Let's just go and see what we can get for him. Now, if you're the Mets, right? Let's look at it from that perspective. And again, this live, I won't go for too long because it's a Saturday and I know people are probably with their fam. I know, shout out to the Knicks community. The Knicks game is going on right now. I actually got that playing on my TV. But the Mets perspective is I think they got the ball in their court and I think they're fine. I think they're in a situation. Shout out to my guy Ant who's in here. Jonathan, welcome. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love. Like he says, here's my opinion on the Mets offseason. I say relax, let David Stearns cook. Right. And this is what I'm gonna get to, right? And if anybody's in here that wants to come up, there's an open door policy that wants to come up and really give their opinion on the Saturday. I'm just here chilling. I just wanted to talk to you guys and kind of see what you guys are feeling. But I think going into David Stearns and the Mets perspective, you now have a situation where you're like, yo, the ball's in your court, like I said, right? They're looking at Pete Alonso like, listen, we don't need you, right? And I want Met fans to really understand why I'm saying that, right? And again, I love Pete. I want him back, homegrown player, whatever. Go do what you got to do to bring him back if you can. But at the same time, right, as much as I don't want it, because I have vocally said that I don't want Mark Vientos at third base. I mean, at first base, excuse me. I want Mark Vientos at third base at all times because I feel like he's proved that he can play that position solely for an entire season. If it comes down to the fact that Pete Alonso is being a little bitch and doesn't want to sign a contract with the Mets and feels like he's worth more than what a lot of teams think he is, which they do, it's been proven out there already, then go move Mark Vientos to first base and go get me Alex Bregman. Now, everybody's like, wait a minute. I know people are going to be like, wait, top. Relax. Bregman wants too much money. It doesn't seem like the Mets should be fit for that, whatever, da-da-da-da. Do they have options if they decide to move along with the whole Bregman thing? Yeah, they do. Because let's say, for example, let's turn it the other way. Let's say if they don't sign at Alex Bregman, right? You got Ronnie, who I'm sure eventually is gonna kill in spring training. I mean, again, that's a question mark, but I have faith in the kid that he's gonna come back from injury and he's gonna go fucking crazy, right? Shout out to my guy CP. Thank you. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate the 100 that's in here. I'm drinking some coquito. Shout out to my Puerto Ricans. I had this for about I got this during Christmas, so I'm opening it up while I'm talking to you guys. But if there's a situation where like Ronnie comes back and he kills in spring training, right? There's no denying that you have to have him in that roster. Acuna, if you don't go ahead and put him in a trade for a Luis Castillo, maybe him, right? Jeff McNeil. A lot of people don't like Jeff McNeil, right? But you're in a situation with Jeff McNeil where he's in a utility role. So you put him at third, right? Then now you have your options for second base. The funny thing about all this is that Alex Bregman has came out and said, I don't mind playing second base. So now you're in a situation where if Pete Alonso is not here, now everything switches, everything moves, everything goes around. Why? Because Vientos could play first, Bregman could play second. Now you're pivoting to a third base position where guys are fighting for that spot. It's no longer second base. There's no way you're telling me that Alex Bregman is going to be fighting for a fucking second base position if he has to play there, right? Could be the other way around. Vientos could play first, Bregman goes to third. Guys could be fighting for that second base position because you got two young guys, like I said. If they do bring Iglesias back, that's another option, right? So many options that they have where I don't think the Mets are screwed if Pete Alonso is not here. Everybody does want Pete Alonso back. I want Pete Alonso back. But I think Pete Alonso is in his own feelings when it comes to this whole contract situation because he thinks, yo, I am that guy. I am the guy that should be getting paid $200 million. When in all actuality, if you look at Pete Alonso's numbers, it's 40 something it's 40 plus home runs, and that's it. That's literally it. You go back to his numbers last year, he had 43 home runs with a 217 average. You go to his season before that, right? He led the team in doubles with a 262 average. So it's like there's a difference. There's literally a decline within Pete. I know people don't like to say it, but listen, the numbers are the numbers. Stats are stats. There's a decline within Pete Alonso's game. Right now, all you're seeing is power. That's all you're seeing. Now, people are gonna say, "Well, Top, isn't that what he's used for? Like, he's in the fourth spot of the lineup for a reason." You would like to see him use different part of his game, and it's not just the home runs. I'm fine with the brother giving me 30 home runs. I don't need to see his home run numbers go up every year. I don't. He's going to give you your 30 plus. He's going to get to 40 if he has to. I would like to see him drive the ball the other way, get some balls in the gap, get some doubles, and just focus on making contact and putting the ball in play when you have runners in fucking scoring position. Because, guys, we have been in that position with Pete Alonso, where Pete Alonso has came up with the runners in scoring position and has done jack shit. That's what I want Pete Alonso to focus on. I want Pete Alonso to be like, yo, listen, I don't always have to go for a fucking grand slam. I don't always have to go for a fucking 3-run homer. I don't always have to go for a 2-run homer. If I get one, yo, thank you, Jesus, I will take it. But it doesn't always have to result in that. I think people tend to lose sight of that. And I know people are talking about, well, Top, that's the reason why he's here. It's baseball. Follow the fundamentals, man. Make contact with the ball. If you get one through the gap for a double, cool. You drove in runs. You're doing what you're supposed to. I just, again, that's something with Pete Alonso that we haven't been able to see. Shout out to the 127 that's in here. I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch, man. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, that's all that it is. Literally, that's all that it is. But I want Met fans, and again, the reason why I did this live was because I felt like the whole conversation with Pete Alonso, it again, people may disagree with me, and I'm fine with that. Again, we're all Met fans at the end of the day. We want one thing, and that's a ring, right? And this is what we signed Juan Soto to do, to bring that, right? We also signed Juan Soto so we can have a team to compete with the one team that fucking won it last year, that we took 6 games, right? We took them to 6 games, right? I want people to understand that Pete Alonso doesn't need to be here for us to go fucking win that. Do I want him here? Yes. I'm clear as day. I want Pete Alonso on this team. But the Mets, in my opinion, cannot be a team. They can't afford to be a team to go ahead and say, yo, we're going to wait for Pete Alonso. We're going to wait and see what he does, because they can't afford to do that. There's so many people that want to make this notion that, oh, David Stearns and Steve Cohen are using their money to get pitchers when they have a first baseman that's still out there. Guys, this first baseman is wasting our time. This first baseman is sitting on his ass saying, I got one of the best agents in the fucking league, right? Who's running shit right now, because there's nobody else that's doing shit. It's only Scott Boras. This is Scott Boras show. It's been like that for the past 3 fucking years, right? But Scott Boras is probably telling him like, yo, don't budge. Meanwhile, I've said it in multiple videos that I've already done. Scott Boras and Pete Alonso think they're here, while David Stearns and Steve Cohen think Pete Alonso's here. And that's where the gap is, right? You saw that article that John Heyman put out, or that report that he put out 2 days ago, where he said there's a big gap with contract negotiations between Pete Alonso and the Mets. That's that gap. That's that gap that I've been talking about for the past fucking years. They ain't waiting for Pete Alonso. That's why Teoscar got that offer. Thank you, Ant. Right, exactly. But to Ant's point, right? That's why they went and try to offer Teoscar that, right? They don't need this. My thing is, they can't afford to wait for Pete Alonso. They don't need Pete Alonso. I think we can win without the brother. Why? Because this Mets team is all about contact. This Mets team is all about putting balls in play. When it comes to Pete Alonso's game itself, for the past 2 seasons, that has not been the case. So this Mets team has shown that they can win with the Pete Alonso struggling, and they've shown it last year. So my thing is, Met fans are saying, well, the Mets need Pete Alonso or they're not going to get to where they want to get to. I don't think they do. I want Pete Alonso here. You guys want Pete Alonso here. We want Pete Alonso here. But if it comes to a situation right now where he goes and he says, you know what? Let's say the Chicago Cubs offer him exactly what he wants. 7-year, $200 million contract. And he takes it. Number one, we can't do shit about it, right? But at the same time, it's not like the options are thin. I have a lot of people telling me, yo, maybe moving Vientos to first base is a good move. Okay, so we got it there. You got to make sure that if Pete Alonso walks, Alex Bregman's going to be a New York fucking Met. If Steve Cohen and David Stearns let Pete Alonso walk, right, and he goes somewhere else for the money that he wants, or he gets the closest money, right, and they don't get Alex Bregman, that to me could be a problem. That to me is a problem. That to me is a huge problem, because you need another star here to kind of help Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, and you need another lethal bat. Alex Bregman provides that. Alex Bregman also provides lethal defense at third base. Alex Bregman also provides clubhouse support. He's a clubhouse guy. I watch a lot of interviews about Houston Astros players that talk about Alex Bregman, right? He also provides championship experience. This is what you need. This is a guy that you can get. And listen, yes, he wants the same amount of money that Pete Alonso wants, but at the same time, I think it benefits them more to get a guy that's gonna come up clutch with runners in scoring position, that's gonna hit well in City Field, that's gonna hit a good amount of home runs in City Field, right? That's gonna give you really good defense at third base, where you're not sitting there. You're like, yo, we just moved Mark Vientos from third base to first. So now we got to worry about another guy who could be a liability at third. The thing is, you can get a Bregman, keep him at third, where you don't have to worry about his defense, and let Mark Vientos do his work in first base, where he has experience and he's played. Again, not a fan of it. Shout out to Queens Baseball for my guys in there that know that I have vocally said I do not want Mark Vientos to move from third base. But if there comes a situation where Pete Alonso is not a Met, make that move, right? Got to do it. You got to do it. There's no time to wait. There's no time to horse around. I 100% believe in David Stearns. I believe in Steve Cohen. I believe in what they're trying to do. Listen, I didn't like the Griffin Canning signing, but I understood the process. That's the difference with Met fans. And I hate to bash my own people in this fan base that I love so much. But people talk about, oh, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Why sign a Griffin Canning? Everybody was clamoring for inning eaters last year. That's what everybody told me. That's what everybody said on the timeline. Yo, we need guys to go more than fucking 6 innings. So he gets a guy that is an innings eater, and everybody has an issue with it. Like, everybody has to stay consistent. Everybody has to go ahead, and everybody has to stay within that realm of, yo, this is what we want, right? Everybody wants Pete Alonso, but people also got to understand that Pete Alonso, shout out to my guy Hector Block Thoughts, right? He said Pete Alonso wants respect. Now I get that. I'm gonna give you a better one, right? Pete Alonso wants his money, and that's what it seems to me. The whole respect thing, brother. You got your respect. I'm gonna be honest with you, Hector. I'm gonna be honest with you. He got his respect. The problem is when I think the respect is there within the fan base, the respect is there within the front office when they already gave you 2 offers. I think the respect is there. The thing is, he wants his respect within the money that he wants. It's not respect for what he's done on the field. I think it's for the money that he wants, because to be honest with you, if you want your respect, you look at your former team and you be like, yo, you know what? They gave me my respect by giving me an early offer before anybody else. They didn't wait. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to give him that offer to see if he would have signed last year and turn that into an extension. They didn't do that. They didn't be like, no, we're not going to offer him anything. We're just going to wait till he goes into the offseason. No, they offered him something. Then they offered him something now. If that 90 mil is true, that's 2 offers. Meanwhile, teams are not really offering him anything right now based on we're not hearing anything, right? We only heard those 2 things. They're not offering him anything. No team from that passion article is what we're going off of right now. Teams are reluctant to even try to go ahead and give him a big time offer. So it's like, yo, if you're seeing that, and yes, nobody's saying that he should sign right now. I get it. Everybody wants him to sign right away. Everybody wants him to go ahead and be like, yo, let's get this shit over with, right? But I understand he has so much time to sign, but if it gets into a situation where he's about to go into fucking spring training and he doesn't have a contract, which I don't think is going to get to that. I'm sure Pete Alonso wants to know who the fuck he's playing for before spring training starts. But if it gets to that situation where it's like, yo, we might be in some shit because it's already the middle of January going into February and I still haven't signed and teams are not really budging to give him what he wants, I think you have to look into the possibilities of saying, yo, the Mets are the only team that give me 2 offers on what they feel is comfortable. And right now, I'm not getting what I want, but they want me back. They've shown me my respect. You know what I'm saying? But he also has to take into consideration that he hasn't been good for the past 2 years. You take away the home run numbers, he hasn't been good. He has not been good. And I understand he's a power hitter, but there's so much more to Pete Alonso's game than just his power. And that's where I think where people should also focus on. Blood Thought says people like to focus on Pete's negatives. It is true that the Mets can win without Pete. He can also be a big part of them winning. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am not disagreeing with that 100%, which is why I want him back. But I also have to keep an open door if he doesn't come back. And it's not, and this is also the thing too, Hector, and to everybody else. Pete Alonso not coming back is not a bad thing. Like, I don't want people to go into the situation and be like, well, if Pete Alonso doesn't come back, they screwed up. They 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 diminished a little bit, like they came down. No, I think it's a win-win whether you bring Pete back or whether you don't bring Pete back. Why? Because it's like I said, he has shown that with his power, he can elevate his team to winning more games. However, when he was struggling a lot last year and he wasn't scoring with runners in scoring position, the team won without him. The team, and I'm not, and again, he's had big moments, right? He's had big moments. You go into the playoffs, right? He had his home runs against the Dodgers, that big home run off Devin Williams in Game 3 in the ninth inning. I would never forget that. That plays a major factor. But throughout the season, to get to where we got to last year in the playoffs, there were a lot of times where other guys were coming up big and Pete Alonso was ice cold. So this team has shown that they can win with him and they can win without him. And it doesn't have to always be about home runs. Contact, putting the ball in play. A lot of them did that. Now I love Pete. Like I said, I will keep mentioning that until until the brother signs anywhere else. I'll love him even after that. But again, people got to take the fan feeling out of it and just stop bringing up the home runs factor, for example, because if we end up signing him and he ends up having games where I don't like to knock on wood because I don't like to put that negativity in there, but if he has games where it's like people are saying he has runners in scoring position and he doesn't come up with a home run, you know what I'm saying, and he doesn't come up clutch at all, people are gonna start to ridicule him, and it's gonna go back to my point is where he's had struggles where he couldn't score with runners in scoring position throughout the season. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take that into factor. Those also says everybody knocks Pete for not taking the first offer the Mets extended, yet praise other players for doing the same when they are close to free agency. It's not like the Mets offered Pete a deal his third year. I mean, I necessarily, I kind of, how do I put this? I don't necessarily think people are knocking him for not taking the extension that the Mets offered him. I think it's more of a situation where you got to look at it from a standpoint of where you don't know where your market is at. Now, granted, I don't think anybody's knocking him for being like, yo, let me go test the waters and see what I could get in free agency, right? But you don't it's like I said, you don't know what you're gonna get, right? You don't know how that market is gonna be. So I don't think anybody's knocking him. I just think he probably understands, and I think Boris is probably having a conversation with him, like, yo, just we're gonna milk this thing out and see how this thing plays. But just know that that 90 mil that the Mets gave you might be your best offer. Now, like I said, I don't think there's a situation where he goes in and he has to go all the way up to February and no team is going to offer him. I think maybe there might be a situation where they're still letting time go and then they're going to budge. But there could be a situation where that reported 90 mil that they gave him could be that last big offer. And we're sitting here on some, you might want to take that. I know it's not the deal that you want, but you might want to take that. Personally, for me, I thought that his signing would have already been done after the Juan Soto thing. I thought maybe Pete was probably sitting back on some, I just want to see what they do. I want to see what they add. And whatever they add is going to determine how quick I sign, or if I just decide, I just want to see what else I get. Maybe. That's what I thought. I thought, that could have been a factor. But who knows, man? Who knows how this shit takes? Who knows how long this shit takes, man? It is frustrating because this is a homegrown guy, and like I said, I love Pete. Fucking chant him on. I got his jersey. I chant him on every fucking time. But at the same time, there's a lot of parts of his game that have declined that it makes me frustrating because it makes me frustrated. It makes a lot of us frustrated because we know those are minimal things that he could work on and he could fix. Blunt Thoughts also says Pete's problem was not having a great year. Like you said, situational hitting was lacking. Also agree that he should have done a better job of reading the market. Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. I think, there are going to be people that are going to be like, well, how is he going to be able to read the market when he's in the middle of the season, you don't really necessarily even need to read the market within the other players in your position. You can also just look at what you've been doing and just been like, yo, I'm not having a great, like, he understood that it's his walk year. He understood what that final year last year was going to do for him, where it was going to put him. The problem is he didn't succeed in that final year. He didn't do what he needed to do in that final year. I guarantee you, if you look at his numbers, right, in 2022. Matter of fact, since we're live, I'm gonna do this on the fly. I'm gonna do this on the fly because I think it's important, and I just want to show you guys what a difference. And for those of you that know his numbers, you guys know his numbers. For those that don't and want to see, a difference within the numbers, I'll show you his difference, right? And I'll show you something that you guys probably want to see, just so here. I'll show it to you right now. Okay. So you look right here, right? Pete Alonso's stats within 2022, right? You look at the 2 years after that. Look at his numbers 2 years after that. Look at his at bats, right? So he was pretty healthy for 2 years, right? You look at his average, 217, 240. So it went up. It went up from his last year. This year, right here, forget about 2019, right? Because this was rookie year. He did impressive things, 53 home runs, got the home run record. But this year, right here, 2022, this year, just look at the numbers that he had that year, right? 27 doubles. Because look at his numbers within his doubles. Now, granted, the numbers in his doubles last year, it went up a little bit. So that right there in itself it made me smile just a little bit. But the numbers right here, from the 27 doubles to the 40 home runs to the 131 RBIs, play a major role. Look, even the walks, like, it's close to what he did last year. But if he could put something like this all together, where not everything is like up and down, if he would have had a season like this, I guarantee you, Pete Alonso probably would have got a 200 or maybe a $230 million contract. Guarantee it. Because, bro, Pete Alonso has shown that he can succeed in New York just based off that year. He's shown that he could play, whether it's pressure or not pressure. He's shown that he could hit in fucking New York. That, again, if he can duplicate what he did in 2022, I bet you he would have gotten a different contract. Shout out to my guy Amish, who says, have fun in San Francisco, big fella. Yeah. Hey, listen, it's looking like that. It's fucking looking like that, man. It's fucking looking like that, dude. If San Francisco might just be like, yo, fuck it. We need a first baseman. We couldn't cash in on Christian Walker. Fuck it. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Everybody go follow my guy Hector at Blunt Thoughts, man. Show him some love and some support. My guy Chris from Orlando. Hi, Top. Happy New Year. Let's be honest with this Pete thing. Mets offering Teoscar a contract this week speaks volumes of the Mets looking elsewhere for power for now. Yeah. The problem is that they didn't get Teoscar. So now you're in a situation where Alex Bregman could be your power source in per se. It could also be Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos can duplicate his numbers, his home run numbers. He had 27. He finished the season with 27. He can duplicate that and give you 30, possibly 40. That could be your power source if Pete Alonso doesn't come back. So while I do agree that that it speaks volumes of that, them looking elsewhere, they still didn't sign the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been a different conversation if they would have got Teoscar and everyone's like, yep, I don't think Pete's coming here. You know what I'm saying? So they still have, like, they still could pivot. I just think now you have to go ahead, and this is where I'll end it. I think what David Stearns and Steve Cohen should do, go get yourself another starting pitcher and get an ace. And by ace, I say go get yourself a Luis Castillo. You got to involve the kids in that trade. Go involve the fucking kids in that trade. Want to know why? Because the Mets are in no position to be like, yeah, we can tank a little bit and keep our kids and see how they build. That's number one. Number two, go get yourself an Alex Bregman if this Pete Alonso shit keeps wearing off. There's no fucking time to waste. There's no time to waste. Alex Bregman is on the verge of possibly going to fucking Detroit, where I think he. Shout out to my guy Keith from Shay and Sons podcast. Please go follow my guys out there. He brought up a scenario a couple weeks ago where Detroit could be looking at this motherfucker. Why? Because AJ Hinch is there, and Detroit, after the year that they had last year, have not made any big moves. That could be their one big move that they make. And then, if you want, you can also stay pat and just play with the kids, which I don't think it's smart. That's the last thing I want them to do. But there could be a situation where they can end up doing that, where that's something where it makes me want to vomit, because the Mets, after what they did last year and what they're coming off, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be getting heavy hitters in here. If the Bregman situation is that, then go get it. But it's disgusting. That would be the last one that I put at the bottom. The first two that I mentioned should be your number one priorities. After that, then you see what everything happens. But I don't think the Mets, right? This is my final word before I log off. I do not think that the Mets should be waiting for Pete Alonso. I think the Mets should be like, listen, we gave you two fucking offers. The one you didn't take, cool. We gave you another offer based on what the fuck just happened, based on what the fuck just the numbers you put up and the struggles that you had. This is what we feel you're worth. If other teams are not budging, if other teams are not going after you aggressively, we have to add to what we need to do within this team, whether you are here or not here. And we got to look at it from a perspective of, we got to look at it in a way where it's like, how's this team going to look without Pete Alonso until Pete Alonso signs that contract? That's what they got to do. Blunt Thought says, I was looking at his numbers a couple of days ago, and I think Pete, with the addition of Soto and new contract, could up numbers close to close to 2022 numbers. Yeah, I honestly, to be honest with you, Hector, that's exactly why I thought that the Juan Soto signing, was gonna get him closer. I honestly thought that he wanted to come back, I think he wants to come back here, but I think Scott Boras is telling him, like, yo, brother, don't fall for that. You're worse than what these people think you are. And I think because it's his new agent, because it's his first year with him, he's putting all his belief and based on what Scott Boras did in the past. The thing is, it's not working. It's not working. That's what I want people to understand. It's not working. It's like it's worked out for his other clients. It's not working for Pete. Like now teams are telling him, yo, it's not working. Like, we don't want to give this brother what you think he's worth. And it goes back to my point. Scott Boras and Pete Alonso think he's here. David Stearns and Steve Cohen think he's here. And it's that gap that they were talking about that I've been mentioning for the past couple weeks. They're not going to get there. It's not going to align itself until Pete Alonso and fucking Scott Boras come down and be like, yo, no other team is making that aggressive move for you. The Mets are. Yes, it's not the money that you want, my brother, but at the end of the day, there are going to be opt-outs in there. Probably maybe like a 2-year opt-out, right? A 3-year deal for that 90 mil with a 2-year opt-out. If you go off, maybe the Mets can extend you, or another team can grab. If you decide to opt out and go back into free agency, a team can go out there and be like, yo, all right, he's playing better. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see what they want to do. Maybe. But until they get off this and start meeting in the middle with the Mets are not going to go up. Why? Because the Mets have to do what they need to do for themselves. And right now, they are looking at it based on what this Teoscar signing proved. They're looking at it from a standpoint where, yo, brother, you're not with us right now. We gotta look at this team right now, how it's structured. And right now it's structured without you in here. That's it. That's all that it is. That until you sign on the dotted line and you are a New York Met again, we can't look at you on this team. We got to look at how this team is structured right now. And I think time is ticking. But I also think the Mets can't sit around and be like, yo, all right, damn, when the fuck is Pete going to fucking sign, bro? Like, we're waiting on this motherfucker. No, because right now, if they wanted to, they could call up Bregman and be like, yo, we'll give you 200 mil. As much as Met fans may not like it, we'll give you 200 mil. Yo, Vientos, yo, thank you for what you did at third base, bro. but you're gonna be playing every day, of course, but you're gonna be at first base, and that's it. Call it a wrap. Call it a fucking wrap. So let's see how this shit plays out. But I see a lot of Met fans coming at each other's necks, man, off of this whole Pete shit. A lot of Met fans are talking about how Pete deserves his money because he hit 40 fucking home runs, while other Met fans are telling him at the end of the day he's screwing the Mets. Everybody has to understand that that man is his own man. He made his decision going to another agency, right? And it's not working out for the brother. And I always ride with, it's always about the name in the front and not the name in the back. And right now, David Stearns and Pete and Steve Cohen are looking at it from a standpoint where they're like, yo, we got to do what's best for the team and not for the person. We gave you your offers. You said no. If we give you another one again and you say no, goodbye. Doesn't look like they're budging in. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But right now, they're not looking at it of what does Pete Alonso want. They're looking at it from a standpoint of what do we have to do to make this team better, to go back to LA and take them motherfuckers down and get to a World Series, because we were 2 games away, well, 1 game from a World Series. So with that being said, I appreciate the 175 in here. I appreciate everybody in the comments. I appreciate all of you for tuning in on this ugly Saturday. It was pretty gloomy, but again, 8 o'clock. I assumed everybody was out with the family, vibing out on this Saturday, man. Merry Christmas to Merry belated Christmas to everybody, man, that celebrated. I hope everybody had a very beautiful Christmas. New Year's is coming up. This year went fast, man. The season's around the corner. I got my season tickets, so I'm excited about that. But I hope everybody has had a beautiful holiday so far, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in on this Saturday, man. Blessings to all y'all. Love y'all, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.